As promised, today we are making the triangle companion to this diamond square. So that is so that if you wish to make a blanket out of these diamond squares that I showed in a previous tutorial and you want straight sides, you can achieve that by replacing your side diamonds with a triangle. So this one's completed in just 2 rounds and it matches up to the sides so that they sew together and fit together. And you could also use it as a component for its own little pattern. If you wanted to just do all triangles, you could use it that way as well. So it's a dual purpose. This little triangle works well with this diamond, or you can use it to make other projects with just triangles. Today I'm using the same yarn as I used last time, the Stylecraft Naturals Organic Cotton in the color Dove. And I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. This is a Clover Amour. So to get started, again, as with the last tutorial for the diamond, I am starting with a magic ring, but you can use any ring start that you prefer. And the first round is the hardest round, but there are only 2 rounds. So I've done my magic ring and the chain 1. Let me do that a little slower in case you didn't watch the other tutorial. So I hold the tail end of my yarn with these 2 fingers. I wrap the yarn, the working yarn, around my fingers this way, under, over, pull through and twist, yarn over, and pull this loop through the other loop for a chain 1. And then I have a magic ring to work into here, and I have a chain 1 on my hook. All right, to get started, we're going to make a second chain, and this chain 2 represents a half double crochet. That will be the center of the side of one of our triangles. So we're going to do 3 sides, and we're doing the side stitch for the first round. Next, we do a double crochet. So yarn over, into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet. And now we're going to make 1 more stitch. We're going to do an extended double crochet. Now for the extended double crochet, you're going to start as if you're making a double crochet, yarn over once, you pull up a loop, and you yarn over. You have 4 loops on your hook. But instead of pulling through 2, we're going to just pull through 1, then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we get a little bit taller of a double crochet. Essentially, it's like a chain 1 plus a double crochet. And now we're going to make a corner. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3 for the corners. And then we're going to do these same stitches but in reverse order. So extended double crochet, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then a double crochet, just normal, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then a half double crochet. So oh, these are all US terms, by the way. So that one you just pull through all 3. Then double crochet, because we're increasing again. We got to the middle of our side and now we're going to make our stitches taller again. Now extended double crochet. So that's one side made here. 1 full side. So we have our chain 3 corner, extended double crochet, half double crochet, extended double crochet. Now chain 3 for the corner, 1, 2, 3, and then work back into the ring again with the reverse stitch order, extended double crochet. We want our tallest stitch first now that we're coming out of the corner. Now a double crochet. Now a half double crochet. Now we're in the middle of the side of our second full side. So if we pull our ring a little tighter, it's easier to see. Basically, we've done half a side, a full side, and a half a side. Now we need to increase our stitch length again with a double crochet. And then an extended double crochet. Pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2. Chain 3 for our final corner. Extended double crochet. Double crochet. And now we are meeting ourselves back at the center of that side with the half double crochet that we first made. Actually, it was a chain 2 that represents a half double crochet. So I'm just tightening up my ring here by pulling on the tail of the ring. We don't have to go all the way tight, but as tight as we can get it without it distorting. Now I'm going to make a slip stitch around that first chain 2 that represents a half double crochet. So we insert our hook, pull up a loop, and pull through the loop on our hook to slip stitch and finish the round. That is round 1. Now we need to make double crochets all the way around and 3 more corners. So chain 3 to represent the first double crochet. Then work a double crochet into the very next stitch. And then a double crochet into the next stitch. Just 1 per stitch. And now we are at a corner chain space. So if you watch the other tutorial, we are doing the same kind of funky pointy corner trick. So into this chain space, we're going to work 2 double crochets. 1, 2, and now instead of working a 3rd double crochet into here, we're going to work 1 into this chain right here. So we have this top of our stitch, the chain, the 2nd chain. So we want this 2nd chain because we have 3 chains, so the center one is the 2nd chain. And we want to work a double crochet into the actual chain. And we just need to get our hook into 1 loop of that 2nd chain of the chain space. I lost my yarn over. There we go. So we're just going to work a double crochet into that, actually into the chain instead of around it. Now chain 3 and work back into this little loop that we pulled up. That's the 2nd chain of the chain 3 space from the previous round. Now kind of stretch our work back out because we want to work into the actual chain space again. We want to work 2 double crochets into that. 1, 2. So it's a little bit funky, but basically we're working into the chain space, then we're working with these 2 stitches, then we're working into the chain itself with this stitch, chaining 3, and then back in with this stitch. Then we work 2 more double crochet stitches back into the actual chain space. And that gives us a nice pointy corner for our triangle. So now we go back to just doing a double crochet into each stitch along the side here, just 1 per stitch. One, 2, it should be 5. 3, 4, and 5. So that's our side. Now we're at the corner again, and we're going to do the same thing we did over here, but I'll show you again because it's a little bit different. Oops. So 2 double crochets into the chain space. So around this chain, then 1 double crochet, actually working into the loop of the 2nd chain. I didn't quite get all of it, 1 sec, there we go. So do a double crochet into that loop, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, back into that second chain loop, do another double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into this spot, into this original chain space. 1, 2. That's how our corners are worked. We have to do 1 more over here. Now we just do 5 double crochets, 1 into each stitch along the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we would work our third corner. I was wondering if, I think it would be good to show you how to join these with the join as you go technique that I used here and that I used here on this blanket. So basically I'm joining as I make the stitches rather than making all my components and then sewing them together later. So I will show that in this video. I think I'll finish up the triangle and then show you that actually. So for our last corner, let's do 1, 2 double crochets into the corner, then a single crochet into the second chain, the loop of the second chain of the chain space, chain 3, back into the loop of the chain with 1 more double crochet, then 2 double crochet into the chain space, 1, 2, and then to finish the side, we're going to do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches where we're going to meet ourselves back where we started. So then you would just insert our hook around that first stitch and make a slip stitch. So that is the triangle. So it's like a solid granny square, but a triangle version. And it fits nicely with this diamond that we made before in the other video. Now I'm gonna undo up to this corner because I want to show how to join it. And basically we are joining stitch to stitch and to a few of the chains. So I'm gonna leave the last chain of each of these free, and I'm gonna join the second chain right here of the chain 3 space to this second chain of the chain 3 space, or I guess it's the first one here. So basically we're leaving the corner chains blank. We're connecting these 2 chains from the chain space. Then we're going to be connecting each of these stitches along the side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But you might notice that I have 12 stitches on this side and only 11 stitches on that side, but it's actually by design because this only has a chain 1 chain space and this has a chain 3 chain space. So I'm actually going to be joining this 12th stitch to this first chain of the chain 3 chain space, if that makes sense. So that mathematically it all makes sense when they are joined. So I'm going to show you how to do the join as you go. This would also be the same technique that you'd use to join these diamonds to each other if you wanted to make this pattern where they're all joined as they go. You can use this technique really for any solid granny square that you want as well, or any component of crochet that would match up regardless of shape. Okay, so I've undone it to the point where all I have is my 3 chains, and I'm going to join to this side. So I'm gonna basically I've removed my work from my hook, but I have this little loop available. I'm going to put my hook through this chain space and grab this little hook again, or this little loop again, and pull it up through the chain space. And then I'm going to make my next stitch. Basically, this was joining this chain to this chain. I'm doing the technique where I make my stitch or chain first, then join it. So this was essentially a join. Now I'm going to make my double crochet that goes back into that little loop, that chain loop. And then I've made that stitch, and I'm going to join it to this stitch by removing my loop from my hook, putting my hook through the top of the stitch that I want to join it to, reattaching my loop, pulling it through the stitch. It's a little hard to see, but basically we're going to just keep doing that. So now I am going to make my next stitch. I don't think I got all of the loop. There we go. So I have my loop on my hook, and it's back on my hook, and it's been pulled through the corresponding stitch on this piece that's already made. Now I'm going to make my next stitch. It's the first of the two that go into the chain space. Here's one, and then I'm going to remove my loop. Every time I make a stitch, I have to remove the loop, put it through the corresponding stitch. It's also the first stitch that goes into the chain 2 space on the opposite, on the diamond. Pull it through, make the second stitch into the chain space, remove the loop, insert into the corresponding stitch, pull the loop through. Now I'm making all of the stitches along the side. So here's the first stitch on the side. I'm going to join it to the first stitch on the other side by putting it through, and you put it through both loops of the corresponding stitch, reattach your loop, pull it through, make your next stitch. It seems a little complicated until you start doing it, and then it becomes sort of mindless. You just get used to it. So make your stitch. It's just an extra step at the end of your making your stitch, is to pull it through the other stitch. Make your fourth stitch along the side. I don't remember how many. Pull it through. Sometimes you have to kind of tighten this up so that the loop, if the loop has become too long. And then keep going. And as soon as you've made your stitch, you insert your hook into the opposite stitch, grab your loop, pull it through. And just keep going along the side. Now I'm to the chain space. So I'm going to make my first stitch into the chain space. So I'm going to do that. Little double crochet stitch here. Then I'm going to put my hook through the corresponding stitch. Then the second. Through the next stitch. It might look like it's a wrong stitch count, but don't worry. Now we're going to do that special stitch into the loop of the chain. And now we're going to join that to the next stitch. And remember, you might be thinking, but I don't have any more stitches to make on this one, and I have one more stitch to join to on this one. I have this stitch that hasn't been joined to. I joined to this stitch. That is because we have more chains in this corner than the other corner, so we're going to do a chain 1, remove the loop, put it through that last stitch, pull the loop through. So we essentially attached a chain 1 to a stitch. Now we're going to do chain 2, chain 3, and then finish our side as normal. 1 stitch into the chain loop, 2 stitches into the chain space, Then 2 more stitches along the side. Then slip stitch to finish. So there we go. That is how we attach them to each other with a join as you go method. For the sides that you're joining, you make the side as you attach the side by looping the top of the stitch through the top of the other stitch, basically. So this would be your straight side, and then your next diamond would go here, essentially, like that. And then you would have other diamonds going off here. The other thing, like I said, you could do is you could have all triangles if you wanted as well. So now I'm just going to finish this off. I actually prefer, rather than doing a slip stitch to finish, that is a normal way to finish, and then you would chain 1 and pull through and have a little knot, but I prefer to cut my yarn. I went back and undid the slip stitch, I cut my yarn, and now I'm pulling my yarn through the stitch. And now with a darning needle, yarn needle, or tapestry needle, I'm going to do needle finishing. So this is the chain that represents it's the chain 3 that represents the first double crochet. I'm going to skip all these and go to the top 2 loops of the next stitch and put my needle through both of those coming from the side. So it's going under both loops of that stitch. And then I'm pulling, not all the way tight, but I'm pulling that to about there. Then I'm going under this loop that this yarn came out of, as well as the loop right behind it, so that it kind of makes an invisible join that is about the same size as the rest of the tops of the stitches along the edge. And then I weave in my ends. I don't know that I need to show that, but it doesn't take long, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I like to go through the tunnels of the stitches and hide that tail under there. And maybe a little bit more, just in case it does pull out, we have enough to attach and redo it, but I don't think it'll come out. Now we snip, and then for the center, we're gonna go ahead and just reinforce the center of our magic ring by going through those stitches a few times, making sure that we're continuing in the same direction as the yarn. So it's going in a clockwise direction, so I'm going to continue in a clockwise direction with my weaving in of the end, like so. All right, and then snip, and we're done. So whether you make the triangles all on their own and then sew them together after, or if you use the join as you go technique like I did, this is a really fun little component to have to work with this diamond or work with on its own. So there's a little triangle, and there's how we did the join as you go technique with the diamond. Again, you can just make them separately and then sew them together using a different join, but I hope you liked seeing how I like to join them with the join as you go. Remember, you can use this little triangle with the diamond, or you can use it on its own, and it can be its own little component. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful, and maybe it inspired something. If you do happen to use my tutorials and make anything, and you happen to post them to social media, I would love if you would tag me at Pattern and Craft on Instagram. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me. I have other tutorials, and I also have patterns available on Ravelry and Etsy and a few other places, so don't forget to check the description of the video If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!